Okay, I will open right now.
Yes, please.
Just sudah datang belum, Mbak Anissa?
Yes.
Oh iya.
Yes. Ya, sudah.
Sudah.
Jadi berarti udah semua ya Kak, bisa dimulai sekarang Kak?
Yes, yes, ya, ya, bisa sekarang.
Oke. Oke, selamat pagi semuanya. Salam sejahtera. Untuk acara webinar internasional dengan judul Adapt to Information Based Career in 20 and 21 akan dimulai sekarang. Oke, yang terhormat Bapak Rektor Universitas STEKOM Semarang, Bapak Dr. Joseph M.Kom, yang terhormat Bapak Dr. Abur Mustikawanto, M.Ed, dan yang terhormat Profesor Shuhei Kudo dari Ishinomaki Senshu University Jepang, dan yang terhormat Bapak Mampuono M.Kom. Selanjutnya yang terhormat beliau Profesor Khausik Dutta dari South Florida University USA, dan teman-teman yang sudah hadir dalam acara webinar kali ini. Oke, untuk acara webinar kali ini, kita mulai dengan bacaan doa menurut keyakinan masing-masing. Berdoa dipersilahkan. Oke, terima kasih. Untuk acara selanjutnya adalah saya akan bacakan untuk susunan acara webinar Adapt to Information Based Career in 20 and 21 yang diadakan oleh Universitas Sains dan Teknologi Komputer, STEKOM Semarang yang bekerja sama dengan Universitas of South Florida atau USA, dan Ishinomaki Senshu University Jepang, Ikatan Guru Vokasi Indonesia Maju atau IGVIM, dan Asosiasi Teacherpreneurship Indonesia Cerdas Etik. Untuk acara yang akan kita lalui bersama saat ini adalah yang pertama pembukaan, yang kedua menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya bersama, yang ketiga adalah opening speech dari beliau Bapak Rektor Universitas STEKOM Semarang, Bapak Dr. Joseph M.Kom. Selanjutnya adalah pemateri pertama dari beliau Bapak Dr. Abur Mustikawanto M.Ed. Untuk acara yang kelima adalah pemateri kedua dari beliau Profesor Shuhei Kudo dari Ishinomaki Senshu University Jepang. Selanjutnya untuk acara yang keenam adalah pemateri ketiga dari beliau Bapak Mampuono M.Kom, dan pemaparan materi yang keempat adalah beliau Profesor Khausik Dutta dari South Florida University USA. Selanjutnya akan dilanjutkan dengan diskusi dan tanya jawab dan penutup. Untuk acara yang selanjutnya adalah menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya bersama. Untuk waktu dipersilahkan. Oke, terima kasih. Untuk acara selanjutnya adalah opening speech dari beliau, Bapak Rektor Universitas STEKOM Semarang, Bapak Dr. Joseph M.Kom. Untuk Bapak Dr. Joseph M.Kom, waktu kami persilahkan.
Ya,
Oh,
terima kasih
gimana,
Kak
Kak?
Aizat. Untuk Pak
Oke.
Jo sekarang sedang ada trouble sedikit.
Oh, oke. Jadi kita langsung masuk ke pemateri pertama berarti ya, Kak ya?
Sebenarnya
Atau-
boleh Pak Abu boleh join
Oh
dulu
ya?
sebelum kita konfirmasi. Oke.
Oke.
Pak Abu, ini saya dapat informasi, I got the information that you also could speak Japanese, so would you tell us?
Sikoshidake. Just a little bit only. Now it's already gone. Wasurechata, Shuhei Kudo-san.
とてもお上手ですね。はい。
ありがとうね。まあ、時々、私、日本語使う。ね。
本当ですか。はい。
いいですか？
いいです。お願いします。
ありがとう。
ありがとうございます。
はい。
Wow, that's amazing. So, can you tell us just a little bit your experience, how you could,
Okay, thank you. I will explain. Yeah, I will try. Actually, my English is not good. So, when I was a long time ago as a teacher in a senior high school, actually I graduated from Bandung Institute of Technology. Yeah, my subject was physics. Yeah, science. Yeah, especially in physics. But I like education, so I apply as a teacher. Sensei, Mr. Shuhei Kudo-san, as a sensei in senior high school, maybe almost only 10 years as a sensei. I got a scholarship in Australia for master degree in Curtin University of Technology for 2 years. And then finished that in that university. Yeah, I took science also, especially in physics. And then I go back to Indonesia. I live in Bandung. Small city, but a cool city, because many people who visit Bandung, they said, wow, sejuk. Sejuk means cool. So after that, I applied to your country, Professor Shuhei Kudo-san. I got a pre-doctoral program in Nagoya. So I choose Nagoya University. Yeah. And then after that, I make a research in IT University of Education, IT in Korea, yeah, not far from Korea City. It was in the center of Japan, yeah, in IT for 3 years, and after that, go back to Indonesia, and I have a duty from my government, especially in West Java province government, special also in education, as a foreign affair, ya, Menteri Luar Negeri Bu Anissa, special in education. So after that, I visit many places related with education, ya, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines. I spent maybe for one month, or I don't know, I don't remember because long time ago. And then also I visit and work together with IGVIM in Germany to improve and make a vocational school in West Java province to become increase, yeah. So that's all. Now I am as head of education department branch 12 in Tasikmalaya City. Actually 3 hours from Bandung. Bandung to Jakarta 2 hours almost.
Wow.
Arigato. Ijo des.
ありがとうございます。
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Mbak
Arigatou
Anissa.
gozaimasu.
Gitu.
Materi,
That was,
izin, Mbak Anissa materinya saya kirim ke siapa? Saya
ke
kirim ke Pak
pajak.
Jos tadi, izin Pak Rektor.
Ya, nanti akan di-share ke kita, Pak. It's okay.
Iya, siap. Saya
Okay.
sudah kirim ke Pak Jos.
Okay, thank you. That was
Terima kasih, Bu.
okay. That was an amazing experience. So we, Mr. Jos, our STEKOM University Rector, has joined us already. So for time and place, go ahead.
Tes, suaranya terdengar dengan baik.
Oke, Pak. Oke. Loud and clear in Bandung.
Kedengaran cuma agak kecil, Pak.
Bentar ya.
Iya.
Tes. Sudah baik? Belum.
Oke, Pak. Loud and clear, Pak.
Udah kedengaran, Pak.
Cuman belum jelas ya.
Jelas,
Iya.
Pak, jelas. Jelas, Pak.
Bentar
Jelas.
ya. Kalau demikian, sudah.
Oke.
Oh, oke. Ya, lebih baik, Pak.
Tes. 1, 2, 3. Ya.
Oke.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Yes, it's very nice that we can join together in this international webinar. And the honorable, our speaker today, Professor Khausik Dutta from South Florida University, USA, and Professor Shuhei Kudo. Hello, Professor. Yes, from Ishinomaki Senshu University, Japan, and Dr. Abur Mustikawanto, Master of Education, as Director of International Affairs of IGVIM. It's a vocational teacher organization very famous in Indonesia. And Mampuono M.Kom as a vice leader of vice chairman of Indonesian Teacherpreneurship Association, and also all of the distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, may I first take this occasion to pay tribute to all the audience of this international webinar with the title Adapt to Information-Based Career in 2021, held by STEKOM University, collaboration with South Florida University, USA, Ishinomaki, Senshu University, Japan, International Affairs of PP, IGVIM, and also Indonesian Association of Teacherpreneurship. It is a great pleasure and a honor for me to deliver this welcome remark at the opening of this international webinar. May I first take this opportunity to express my gratitude and appreciation, as well as extend a cordial welcome to all the audience, in particular, all the speakers of today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic of today's webinar is about information-based career in 2021. As we know that we are in the new normal, where this time requires us to carry out many changes in various aspects of our lives. One of which is how we adapt to work in this new area. It is undeniable that the COVID-19 pandemic has had many impact on all aspects of many individuals who were affected by this pandemic. One of them is many individuals lost their job in this era. Ladies and gentlemen, The coronavirus pandemic has a major impact on the national economy. If it is not solved immediately, the threat of additional open and unemployment is in sight. Indonesia's economic growth itself is predicted to grow minus 0.5% to positive 1% to 2020. Meanwhile, in second quarter of this year is predicted to be minus 3.5%. The Minister of National Development Planning, or head of Bappenas, Suharso Mono Arfa, is concerned that there will be an increase in the number of unemployed people in Indonesia due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the national open employment rate has the potential to reach 10.7 million to 12.7 million people in 2021. It is even feared that in 2021, the unemployment rate will increase. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the information above, we can conclude that perhaps the conditions of looking for a job in 2021, which will be more difficult and a little more. For you who take information system as your major, you can take advantage from the knowledge that you get. Just one of many information-based careers that can be explored with a computer science degree. However, for those who are interested in careers that involve working out from under the hood, any number of information careers offer long-term career potential and may be better suited to different personalities. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope through these webinars, we can get more information how we adapt to information-based career in 2021. To conclude, I would like to extend my appreciation to the International Affairs Organization of STEKOM University for making these international webinars. And finally, I wish you to enjoy the webinars today. Let's pray that our effort remains in the blessing of God Almighty. Amen. Thank you very much.
Oke, terima kasih untuk Bapak Dr. Joseph atas opening speech-nya. Untuk acara selanjutnya adalah pemateri pertama dari beliau Bapak Dr. Abur Mustikawanto M.Ed.
Yes, ma'am.
Dan beliau, iya, oh iya, saya perkenalkan dulu ya Pak.
Yep.
Iya, dan beliau merupakan Direktur International Affairs PPI IGVIM Indonesia. Untuk beliau, halo Pak, monggo.
Ya, silakan Bu.
Waktu dipersilakan, iya.
Iya.
Untuk waktunya nanti 20 menit ya Pak?
Iya. Is it okay Bu? I have ini ya, PowerPoint, but I already sent to Mr. Rektor, Pak Jos ya. Or do you mind if, or I will open in here, I think.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, I think you can share your screen.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Thumbs up already? Ibu Azeda, sudah nampak di sana?
Ya, sudah Pak. It was...
Oke. Terima kasih Bapak dan Ibu, rekan-rekan guru vokasi seluruh Indonesia, teman-teman sejawat pengajar, and also thank you very much for invitation and join with our webinar in here. Mr. Jos, as a Rector of STEKOM, Mbak Aseda, thank you, and also Mr. Eddie, who always invite me and talk many times 1 week ago to attend this webinar. Okay, I will explain a little bit about, I have a topic or title in here, highlight of vocational roadmap for an excellent, competent employee. Related Pak Jos information, I'm agree about that. So I will explain a little bit about what must I do in Indonesia and also to improve our competence every school in Indonesia. And also I will introduce IGVIM to all of you in here to know about IGVIM. Yeah. Next, the paradigm of vocational education. Yeah. Building. Allow me to read my PowerPoint one by one to make sure about our point. So once again, our paradigm of vocational education. Yeah, building education oriented to integral attitude, skill, and knowledge competencies. So nowadays, we should make student and also the teacher good competency in industry. Yeah, that means hard skill multiplied by soft skill. So that's basic that all teacher and students should be understand that hard skill and soft skill should be together. Next, we know all of you in here, we face challenge in 21st century. So we should know about 17 global goals. Yeah, you can see number 1 until 17. Of course, positive obsession. All of us has a positive obsession, yeah, from 1 until 17. You can read already there. Okay. We should make a green, and then we have a lot there. If I read one by one, then no poverty, no yeah, good health, and so on. Yeah, we know already about this. Okay, so next we have roadmap of vocational education development in Indonesia. This I adopt from Education Department Indonesia. From 2015 until 2020, we still improving our practice and laboratory equipment. So until last year in 2020. So now from 2020 until 2024, we will encouraging vocational high school partnership with business and work. For example, from Professor Shuhei Kudo san, Japan, and then maybe Germany, we should make a partnership. We should make a memorandum of understanding to receive new worker from Indonesia. But in this case, our student and also our teacher should be ready in competencies and languages. Is that right? Yeah. With language, we can make conversation to prepare, understand each other. That's the point. Like me, like I am as a teacher, I can make people around the world and then make memorandum of understanding work together with Thailand, with Philippines, also with Japan. After that, we understand they need us as long as we can speak. Otherwise, competencies we should do. So this is from 2020 or 24, the encouraging vocational high school partnership. And in here in Indonesia, in our school, we should and 24 to 29, we will make an improvement of skill certification. We need certificate like Japan one. For example, someone or student want to work abroad, supposed to understand each other. Yeah, that's a 24 and 29. So improvement of skill certification. We need a certificate. So one day we should make a memorandum of understanding between with a roadmap of professional education development in Indonesia 29 until 34. We should improve and innovative products and also improve in a kind of one like this. The same time, improvement of innovative products from 29 until 34. Then next 29 until 45, yeah. Development of product services, development of industry. At school, we call teaching factory. Nowadays, every school in focus in Indonesia almost has a teaching factory. We adopt from factory and then we invite them to make a factory in a school with a small factory to make understand and matching their competencies between industry and school. And next, this is a roadmap of vocational education development in Indonesia. Next slide will be, phenomenon. I will read, allow me to read, yeah. Phenomenon of vocational high school. Vocational high school is prepared with machine or tool facility to increase the skill. Of course, increase the skill, competence everyone who follow in vocational school, yeah. Then vocational high school is prepared for industry. So between school industry should be matched. And also the industry has should receive apprentice from the student in every school of Indonesia, especially vocational school. Then industry is not always big industry, but it is also small industry. Yeah, we call M.Kom in Indonesia, and in English maybe micro, small, middle business. The need for link and match, vocation and industry can be fulfilled. I already explained the last slide, and then how is the existence of digital technology? Digital technology also important thing because in pandemic era, now all information, every time, every day, every week. The industry and industry change, vocation change as well. Yeah. Job. So now this teacher in vocational school should be know about either big data, smart teaching, the smart system. Yeah, like my house in here, I control by IoT.
Maaf, Pak.
By Internet of Things. Ya.
Ya.
Ya, Bu.
Sorry, di sini agak putus-putus Pak suaranya.
Okay. Yeah. I will talk slowly. Yeah. Is that okay? Loud and clear, Mbak Aseda? Clear now? Okay, yeah. As long as the slide already show up in the screen, yeah.
Yes, you can continue,
Okay.
but last time that is your voice is cannot listen.
Okay.
Okay, you can
Our
continue.
pandemic. Okay, thank you, Mbak Aseda. So, era depends on IT technology and job inventory system onward. Soft skill and hard skill are greatly in need by industry and business and work. We call UMKM, yeah, micro, small, middle business or UMKM. Partnership between schools, vocational, high school, and university, and etc. Yeah. Next, vocation is only best. Yeah. And then, okay, I will point thing the whole is information is important, but I will read here. The curriculum is made by vocational high industry. This is the important thing also. Curriculum in the school not met with the industry, nothing. So that's not good if vocational school not met with the industry. And then we need also guest lecturer, yeah. Maybe one day Professor Shuhei Kudo visit Indonesia. So that's we need a guest lecturer in Indonesia. And then also industrial apprenticeship, industrial class, we need that to make a match or understand between school and industry. And also industry need competent graduates. So developing vocation of vocational high school, yeah. So I will read just roughly quality and competitive power of all graduates of vocational education or vocational high school are based on competency and also the other creative innovative work and etc. And you can read, yeah. Everyone who I already on the screen to make a fast. I will choose the next slide. This one is important. So why IGVIM exists? Yeah, Advanced Indonesian Vocational Teachers Association. Yeah, why exists? Because we should exist to support in a roadmap of vocational school in Indonesia. The last three slides that already I saw you. So it is existence special managed educational vocation sector problem, IGVIM or Teacher Association in Vocational, yeah, already support by Director General and also creating revitalization of vocational high school, state in presidential instruction, critical partner toward government policies of vocational education. So this is important of Vocational Teachers Association. So we have this one. And also in Japan, there is a Parent Teacher Association and so on, yeah. Mr. Kudo. So actually same situation in Indonesia. We have association in here, Vocational Teacher Association. Next. This is born, yeah, established, IGVIM established by vocational teacher and support by the vocational high school and also business work to make relate, link and match toward industry. Yeah, and also to avoid lack of vocational high school teacher and competency. So why IGVIM established? And also we make a link and match between industry and school. And the vision of Teacher Association, a Vocational Teacher Association or IGVIM, becoming independent, professional, inclusive, global, smart, and national professional organization for vocational high school. So that's our effort to make and support our roadmap of vocational in Indonesia. And also this one is the mission of Teacher Association, especially in vocational. Yeah, all of you in here, you can read from 1 until 9. And this is the mission, and then the goals of IGVIM or Vocational Teacher Association, yeah, becoming solid and strong professional organization, especially in vocational teachers. Orienting professional organization of vocational teachers to become a place for social community gathering. So like today, so for social community gathering. Orienting professional organization of vocational teachers to finance, control, and protect its members. Of course, we will protect our members in Vocational Teacher Association. The last slide will be the objective of Vocational Teacher Association or IGVIM. Yeah, I will read, yeah. A place for sharing, like today, yeah, sharing knowledge and technology, art, competency, improvement, and skill. A place for discussion toward education, especially vocational education. Sharing experience, method, in best practice for improving vocational education quality. Bridge, yeah, bridging, or a partnership between industry and the school, yeah, and also business work or ibuka. And the last, a forum of gathering, sharing information, and relating communication, sharing and growing together. Learning media construction, education management, and any other things related to vocational education of vocational high school. So, in my presentation today, to support vocational education roadmap in Indonesia. So, and also we will make many memorandum of understanding, active, yeah, active memorandum of understanding. Sometimes I have experience, bad experience. If we make an MOU, nothing. So now with IGVIM, maybe one day, we will make MOU with active MOU to make a link and match between school and industry. So I will show you one video, maybe only 2 minutes. Allow me, Bu Asida, can cover the whole of Indonesia vocational school. Allow me to share. Okay. Hang on. Okay. Hang on, take time a little bit. So, vocational school teacher, now they should have ability, once again, ability between competency and competency in subject and also languages. So that's important thing, because one day if we will make relationship between our school and industry or factory from abroad become easy. Why? Because we can make memorandum of understanding in active way. Okay, this one. The video.
I'm M.Kom Humami, an 11th grader in SMK in Dua, a vocational school in Cimahi. I already had my own phone repair business within past a year. The entrepreneurship curriculum-based product that fully supported by PT Bukit Makmur Mandiri Utama, or BUMA, providing the same knowledge and experience as the real world. We learn how to make an autonomous fuel saver that called EcoOn for heavy dump trucks of BUMA. The benefit of this curriculum is also felt by my friend, Ibnu.
I'm Ibnu Haryanto. I'm a 12th grader in SM Karwarga, a vocational school in Solo. While attending school, I'm also running a goods expedition business as the implementation of entrepreneurship curriculum at school. From this business, I can support my school fees and no longer depending to my parents. In the entrepreneurship curriculum, me and my friends also learn about how to produce the products for the industrial world. One of our products is called Arugoro, an international quality standard copper hammer. The handle is made from waste nylon. I, my friend M.Kom, and all my friends in the other 15 vocational schools across Indonesia would like to say thank you very much to BUMA. The entrepreneurship curriculum has successfully prepared us to become skilled human resources and entrepreneurs.
Okay then. Thank you very much for watching. So maybe one day, because of IGVIM, we will make like M.Kom and Ibnu as a student spread out from Sabang until Merauke, in the north and until south of Indonesia. So we should prepare like that the student with a good teacher. A good teacher in here, competence and also languages. So that's all my presentation today, Ibu Azeda. Thank you very much. Keep healthy there.
Okay.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oke, waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oke, Kak Anissa silakan.
Iya, bisa dengar ya Bapak? Oke, untuk Pak Abur, sebelum kita ke Profesor Shuhei Kudo, saya ingin menanyakan, tadi kan ada link and match antara sekolah dan industri ya Pak ya? Apakah di Indonesia ini apakah masih sedikit atau sudah mulai menjamur untuk kegiatan seperti itu, Pak?
Ya, sebetulnya dari dulu ya relate with information, and also I am as a head of educational office ya in Tasikmalaya. Jadi if school there is no connection between industry, nothing. Yeah, nothing. For example, in one school, if there is no connection between industry, so we call siswanya sastra ya, just only theory, just only theory. So who graduate, yeah, the student who graduate from the school, just only the theory. They smart in competence, but nothing in activity. Karena because they don't have apprentice between school and industry. So that's why in every school has hubungan industri. So long time ago, vocational school always have collaboration between school and industry. That's why we call MOU, yeah, Memorandum of Understanding. Not sleeping MOU, but active MOU. That's why I push every teacher in here who teach in vocational school, just let's make MOU active. Yeah. Why? Because if we make a MOU active, student can easy to get in the industry because link and match. For example, Mbak, yeah, industry now making a mobile phone like this. If the school make a mobile phone technology like 5 years ago, so nothing. Learn about 5 years ago technology of mobile phone. So that's why we should make link and match between the industry and the school. So the student can easy to get in the industry. So that's the point. Thank you, Mbak Anissa.
Okay, thank you, Pak. Thank you, Pak. So, I think that's a long discussion to discuss more about the school and industry. So we can, yes, we can move on right now. And and we can let Professor Kudo to present his material. So Professor Kudo, as from Ishinomaki Senshu University, Japan, the time is yours.
Can you see my presentation material?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Today, I'd like to talk about ICT human resource development for business innovation. My presentation is in 4 parts. First, I'll give a brief introduction to ICT-based business model. Next, I'd like to look at current state of business utilization of robot in Japan. In part 3, I'm going to describe our recent project of academia between industry collaboration. This collaboration is related to ICT human resource development in the region. Finally, I'll point out some future issues of ICT human resource development for business. Let me start with ICT-based business model. What is business model? Although there are some definitions of business model, Osterwalder and Pigneur, the authors of Business Model Generation, defined business model as the description of the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. Based on this definition, This study defined business model as a system for increasing the value of products and services. How can a company increase the value of products and services? We can understand this by a simple set formula. VP is the value of products and services. VU is customer value. And VE is company value. U is customer satisfaction. And P is the prices of products and services. And C is the cost of products and services. VP is the sum of VU and VE. VU is the remainder after deducting P from U. VE is the remainder after subtracting C from P. So VP equal VU plus VE equal U minus P plus P minus C equal U minus C. So from this formula, we can understand that a company needs to increase customer satisfaction and or decrease the cost of products and services to increase the value of products and services. ICT has been a critical tool to increase customer satisfaction and or decrease the cost of products and services. Various new business models have been created with the development of ICT. Amazon Go is one of my most impressive recent ICT-based business models. I went to Seattle with Ishinomaki Senshu University's students taking a training course on English at Seattle Pacific University. This is a part of international exchange projects at Ishinomaki Senshu University. I actually went to Amazon Go in Seattle, and I was really impressed with the system. Amazon.com, the business leader of e-commerce, has launched a new type of convenience store called Amazon Go. The first store opened in 2018 in Seattle in the United States. Amazon Go doesn't have a checkout counter, a cash register, and a point of sale register. And this is the headquarters of Amazon.com. I think it's a very unique building. This is the Amazon Go shop next to the Amazon.com headquarters. There are some things before you use Amazon Go. You need to visit the Amazon.com website and create your account and register your credit card, and then download and install Amazon Go app on your smartphone and enter your account information for Amazon.com in the Amazon Go app. This is the app site where you can download Amazon Go app. You need to display this QR code to enter the Amazon Go shop. There's no checkout counter. So you just pick up the goods and pass through the exit gate without paying money at the shop. After a while, the receipt is displayed on your smartphone. The system of Amazon Go increases the value of products and services. Why is customer satisfaction improved? You can come up with many reasons. One reason is because customers can save time buying goods because they don't need to wait at checkout counter. Why is business operating cost decreased? One reason is because the store staff doesn't need to operate a cash register. And also, Amazon can correct purchase behavior data through the Amazon Go system. This purchase behavior data is very important for improving customer satisfaction and or decreasing business operating costs. So I think Amazon Go business model is very effective for developing Amazon.com. Various ICT, including smartphone, app, sensor, image recognition using artificial intelligence, and credit card authorization are utilized to achieve the Amazon Go business model. The origin of ICT-based business model. Since when has IT-based business model been important? ICT-based business models began to appear in the 1980s. ICT supporting or enabling a new business model was called strategic information system or strategic use of information technology. The classic examples of a strategic information system in the 1980s are American Airlines Sabre and American Hospital Supplies ASAP. 7-Eleven Japan's point of sale system and Yamato Transport's Neko system were regarded as Japanese strategic information system in the 80s. I'll explain 7-Eleven Japan's business model briefly. The key of 7-Eleven Japan's business model is the practice of stock keeping unit. This is called tanpin kanri in Japanese. This new way of merchandise management was created in the late 1970s or the early 1980s. Sales data of each merchandise is collected and analyzed, and the order is placed based on the sales trend. Only hot-selling line of merchandise is stocked only the quantity needed, and poorly selling line of merchandise is not stocked. Sales can be increased while reducing inventory at the 7-Eleven store by tanpin kanri system. Tanpin kanri system has been supported and enabled by point of sale system. Sales data is collected and transmitted to the 7-Eleven headquarters with point of sale register at the 7-Eleven store. The sales data is analyzed and the results are sent to the 7-Eleven stores, distribution centers, and manufacturers at the headquarters. Point of sale data, merchandise assortment assessment, status of business operation, weather information, and store location are data-based in information analysis system at headquarters. So the large-scale database is utilized to achieve tanpin kanri system. A large-scale data analysis is also conducted on information analysis system at headquarters. Lessons from SIS in the 1980s. Some researchers and practitioners have evaluated SIS in the 80s. The significance of SIS is to make us realize that ICT is an important infrastructure of a new business model. We can create a new business by utilizing ICT. On the other hand, one of the important lessons from SIS is that the advantage of ICT-based business model is not sustainable for a long period. When competitors develop the same business model, the advantage of the model decreases. So a company must continue considering building or enabling a new business model. That's why it is critical for business leaders to maintain and improve the ability able to create an ICT-based new business model based on both business and ICT knowledge. No problem.
I'm sorry?
Okay, I'll go on. Okay. What do you think the key ICT? Okay. What do you think the key ICT for the next successful business model? These are emerging ICTs in business: digital e-commerce vehicle, robot, blockchain, and big data. Every emerging ICT is very important, but I'll focus on robot in today's presentation. The utilization of robot for business in Japan. Robot may be broadly categorized into two types: industrial robot and service robot. Articulated robot and electronic parts mounting apparatus are classified as industrial robot. Logistics service robot, medical care service robot, social robot, home electric appliances, and security service robot are classified as service robot. This picture shows an articulated robot developed by Yaskawa Electric, Japanese well-known industrial robot company. This articulated robot is for welding automobile member. These are the world's 4 largest industrial robot companies: ABB, KUKA, FANUC, and Yaskawa Electric. FANUC and Yaskawa Electric are Japanese companies. FANUC also controls the world's top market share in numerical control device for machine tool. This pie chart shows constitution of 2020 domestic shipment volume in Japan. The biggest industrial robot user is automobile industry, followed by electric machine and machine. With the growing significance of robot utilization in manufacturing industry, new kind of job, robot system integrator, is drawing an attention in Japan. Robot system integrator is similar to system integrator. System integrator analyzes client's business and designs, develops, and operates optimal for client's business, optimal information for client's business. In a similar way, robot system integrators do interviews about issues in robot users' production job site, and then design and assemble robot system optimal for users' production job site. Robot system integrator will play an important role connecting robot makers with business users. These are very famous social robots in Japan. Pepper is developed by SoftBank. Aibo is developed by Sony. Almost all Japanese people knows both Aibo and Pepper. Unfortunately, these social robots are famous, but not positively used for business. Developing robot human resource will become increasingly important for a new business model in the near future. The robot education for business utilization will be more needed by the society. An academia-industry collaboration project at Ishinomaki Senshu University, hereafter ISU. ISU has held robot programming class in Ishinomaki and surrounding areas twice a year since 2017. Miyagi Prefecture is located at the northern part of Japan. It takes about 6 hours by car from Tokyo. Ishinomaki City, Onagawa Town, and Higashi Matsushima City are located in coastal areas in Miyagi Prefecture. ISU is located in Ishinomaki City. The fishing industry is flourishing in Ishinomaki City. The class event is implemented by collaborating with research room at ISU and Fujitsu Computer Technologies. We could not hold the robot programming class event in 2020 because of COVID-19. We held the class event twice in 2019. The class event composes of 2 sessions, part 1, morning session, and part 2, afternoon session. 3rd through 6th graders at elementary schools and their parents participated in the class. Students at ISU also participate as trainers. The role of trainers is to support the elementary school students' work. There are 3 purposes of the class. The Great East Japan Earthquake Reconstruction Support, making students at Ishinomaki and surrounding areas more interested in science, robot, and manufacture, and providing the young generation, including the students at ISU, the opportunity for programming and operating a robot. We are expecting to contribute to regional vitalization in Ishinomaki and the surrounding areas through the robot programming education. Yesterday was a very special and emotional day for all Japanese people. Yesterday marked exactly 10 years since a massive earthquake and tsunami devastated its northeastern coast, including Ishinomaki, Onagawa, and Higashi Matsushima in Japan. The magnitude 9 earthquake and ensuing tsunami left more than 15,000 people dead. Many Japanese people said, "I don't forget the Great East Japan earthquake," and observed a moment of silence at 2:46 p.m. yesterday. We use LEGO Mindstorms EV3, programming software, laptop computers, and the assembly drawing made by FCT, Fujitsu Computer Technologies, as teaching materials. The class starts with opening ceremony and robot assembly. It takes about 40 minutes. And then robot programming is carried out. It takes about 90 minutes. After that, robot racing is implemented. It takes about 40 minutes. EV3 is introduced for new employee training by some companies, such as NTT Data, Caterpillar Japan, Mazda, and Mitsubishi Electric. A company makes a new employee experience implementation of application that EV3 robot collects and delivers a cargo when an online order is received. Another company makes a new employee develop automatic conveying system using EV3. Some effects of EV3 introduction into a new employee training are indicated. The effects can be classified into 5 types: easiness of introduction, teamwork, motivation, a whole software process learning, and understanding in the real world. By introducing EV3 for a new employee training, it is possible to experience a software development process without technical knowledge. And a new employee can feel that manufacturing is fun. A new employee also can confirm the correctness of the program made by yourself by checking an actual motion of the EV3. This picture shows a scene of the robot assembly in the class. Students assemble Lego blocks into a car-type robot. This picture shows the car-type robot developed by Fujitsu Computer Technologies. In the robot programming session, students are taught how to operate EV3 software for education programming too, and work on some programming questions about robot motion. This picture shows EV3 software for education. A program to make EV3 robot drive is made on the programming campus. Many programming blocks are prepared. We can choose a programming block and set a parameter according to a purpose. I'll demonstrate programming on EV3 software for education practically. This is a EV3 software for education. So I'll make a program making the EV3 robot drive back and forth repeatedly. I use 2 move tank blocks. This is the move tank blocks. So I use two move tank blocks. We can connect programming blocks to each other on programming campus. If we want to make the robot drive back and forth repeatedly, only 2 move tank blocks are not enough. We have to use the loop block. This is a loop block. This block is used to make a robot drive repeatedly. So move tank. We can put the move tank into the loop blocks, and we can set the parameter. Plus parameter means the robot go forward, and minus parameter means the robot go backward. We can complete the program making robots drive back and forth repeatedly. This is a very simple and easy programming robot programming, because we can program with GU graphical user interface based. This is the contents of the programming in the class. Making a robot drive forward, backward, back and forth, or turn. Making a robot drive repeatedly. This program corresponds to the full statement of C language or Excel VBA. Making a robot react to black color and black line, this program corresponds to the if statement of C language. How to use touch sensor and making a robot go round on the robot racing course. This picture shows a scene of robot programming in the class. Students confirm the correctness of the program by checking an actual motion of the robot. Robot racing is the final main session of the class. The students are divided into 2 groups of 7 people. 4 robot racings, including a preliminary racing, the first racing, consolation racing, and the final championship racing are carried out. The students work on the improvement of their programs to make their robots drive faster. This is a robot racing course. A robot starts from the starting line. If the robot touches the box, the robot moves back a bit and then turns around. The robot continues tracing the black line. If the robot touches the box again, the robot reaches the goal. This is the image of robot racing. This is a scene of the robot racing in the class. The outcome of the robot programming class is that the students can improve the following ability: fundamental knowledge and skill relevant to robot mechanism and programming, logical thinking for programming, and cooperativity, patience, and identity. So the robot programming class is expected to contribute to the development of human resource able to create new business model based on robot or other ICT in Ishinomaki region in the future. Conclusions. I'd like to finish with a summary of today's presentation. ICT will continue to drive a new business model, and the business model will continue to change our way of life. The companies unable to respond to an ICT-based new business model will become increasingly difficult to survive. It will be more important than ever to take the initiative in creating a new business by combining business and ICT knowledge. Universities need to provide the kind of education which will foster human resources able to create new business model based on new ICT. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your attention. That's all.
Thank you, Professor Kudo. That was an amazing material. So, Kak Z, I think, Kak Z?
It's still mute.
Okay, I think she wants to. Okay, you can continue.
Yeah. Okay, from Professor Shuhei Kudo, he tell about first case about Amazon Go and some case like Amazon Go with some preparation for Amazon Go, and the display about Amazon Go website also. And then the next is he tell about ICT utilization that can get by smartphone and application and other. And also he tell about the origin of ICT-based business model and emerging ICT in business model like as AI and also other. And then many types of robot with some sample we can see on the last display. And there is so many kinds of robot. and also social robot like Abur that made by Sony Japan. I think that's it. Miss Anissa.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ajat. So thank you, Professor Kudo. The question will be asked by the end of the event. So for now, we will be joined by Professor Khausik Dutta. Professor Khausik Dutta, are you with us already?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So Professor Khausik Dutta is from South Florida University, USA, and he's one of the director of the MoMA College of Business. So Professor Dutta, you may present your material.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, we can see it, Professor.
Yes.
Excellent. So thank you for inviting me in this webinar. I'm delighted to present in front of such a large audience. And one of the nice thing about all this COVID and pandemic situation is that it is allowing us to connect across the world without getting into the complexity of the cost of traveling, the time of traveling, and so on. So the kind of connection otherwise we would not have been able to do, we are being able to do that because of the COVID-19. And thanks for organizing this one. So what I'll do today, and in this brief presentation, I'll talk about the decision making by the managers, how the managers are taking the decisions in different businesses and in terms of running the enterprises, and how they're taking the decisions. So if you think about the managers, in large enterprises taking the decisions, previously they used to take the decisions based on their intuition, based on the experience. So I have a choice of taking decision X or Y, and I would have said, okay, based on my past experience, I think that X is the right way to go, and everyone follows X. But we are getting away from that aspect of that approach of taking the decision in the enterprises. Because right now, tremendous amount of data are being collected across the world. Even in the context of the pandemic situations, we have seen that in many countries like Singapore, China, they're actually tracking each and every movement of the citizens, and I'm trying to identify whether one person is coming up in contact with another person, and using that to decide whether a person should go into the quarantine or not. Similarly, in the organizations, they're collecting enormous amount of data in terms of every aspect of the running the organization. Say, for example, a retail organization like Walmart or Carrefour, they're collecting the data about what are the product being sold, which product is being sold in which location, how many times, at what time, everything is being tracked. So with so much of data being collected, now the opportunity exists. Can you hear me, Anissa?
Yes, we can hear you, but your presentation, your PPT is
yes,
not
I'm not moving
moving.
it.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
not.
I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
So, okay.
in the context of so much of the data, nowadays it becomes essential to take the decisions based on the data. So we'll talk about that, how we can do that, and what are the things that is needed. So briefly, I'll talk about the data analytics framework, and then I'll talk about some of the applications for the business in terms of the database decisions. Then we'll talk about very briefly some of the newer techniques technologies. And lastly, we'll talk about the very briefly some of the infrastructure. The whole objective is to give you lots of keywords, lots of pointers, so that in future any of the members of the audience, if they want to pursue the direction, they can further dig down on that direction. So let's talk about the framework. So the first framework is that the first step of the framework is the problem definition. So the problem definition requires the domain knowledge and prioritizing the problem. Say, for example, my problem is to decide which product should I buy for tomorrow for my store, or which product should I buy more for the next month. Now, how do you do that? You collect lots of data, lots of historical data. And when you collect lots of historical data, the data is coming from various different sources. Data is clumsy, data is dirty, the data is not clean, data comes from many different formats, and a lot of work goes into the selecting the data, transforming the data, identifying the missing values, all the data preparation side. And believe me or not, organizations spending about 70 to 80% of their effort on these kind of data analytics applications, just on the data preparation. Once the data is prepared, then you develop the model. What do you mean by the model? Simple model is linear regression. So y is dependent on x. You identify that how y is dependent on the x. So if you know, and if you can fit a curve between y and x based on the historical data, then if you know the x for the future, then you can predict y for the future. That's a very simplistic one. And from there, you can go into more complex one, multivariate, nonlinear, and all the other things. That's the model development part. Now, just to warn you on this one, that model development sounds quite complex, but that's the most simplest task of this whole cycle. Why so? Because nowadays there are so many tools available that even you don't need to select the model. You can actually just dump the data, and you can ask tools like Azure ML, AWS Segway to build a model automatically. Now, once you have the model, the next step is the model deployment. That is very cumbersome. Why the model deployment is cumbersome? Because once you have the model, how do you incorporate it into production? You cannot just develop the model based on the Excel sheet or some Access database. Yes, you can build a model, but so what? What do you do with that? To incorporate the model and use that on a regular basis in your business, you have to integrate with your existing ERP system. It may be an SAP, or it may be an Oracle Financial Systems. And integrating those things, integrating the model into those things is not straightforward. It's quite cumbersome. Lastly, the performance improvement. Why do you do all these things? You collect the data, you do the model development, you deploy it in the production. Why you do that? Because you want to affect your bottom line. So what is the key metrics that you want to measure? The key metrics may be your revenue. The key metrics may be your profit. The key metrics may be number of users or number of customers. Depends on your business. So after deciding the key metrics, you need to go back to the metrics and see that after doing all those things, are you really improving anything? If not, then you have to throw it away, or you have to rebuild the whole thing. Or if you're lucky, if everything is working perfectly, then you will see a superb improvement of one of the key metrics, and you can probably make some bonus out of your boss. You can ask some bonus to your boss. So that's the basic framework of the data analytics. Now, when you talk about the data analytics, I said that data is coming from multiple different sources. And that is typically, we talk about 3 V's, represented by 3 V's, means the volume. The volume of the data that is being generated is enormous. Consider the situation that if you're using an Android phone, then you don't have any choice. Without your choice, each and every location at every seconds are being noted down and being sent to either the Google or Samsung, whoever the manufacturer of the phone is. So think about the amount of data that is being collected from each of us. Think about number of cameras that you can see in any modern cities. You cannot do a crime and get away with that. Some camera, either the traffic camera or the store camera, will capture that. So enormous volume of the data. Then the variety. The data is not in the structured format. Means not everything number. Some data is in the video format. Some data is in the text. Some are in the audio. Some are just numbers. So different varieties. And the velocity means the data is coming continuously. It's not that you collect the data once and you're done. It's a continuous stream of data. Going back to your location is a continuous stream of location data. Going back to traffic data is a continuous stream of traffic data. Going back to weather is a continuous stream of weather data. So there's a continuous stream of data, that is the velocity. These are some of the characteristics of the data that is making the data big. Means data cannot be processed in a single machine. You require a completely defined kinds of infrastructure, completely different kinds of software systems to support the decision making based on this data. Now, having said some of the characteristics, let's focus on some of the applications. So let's talk about the marketing applications. If you talk about the audience targeting, many of you have seen or have experienced that you search Google for a flight between Jakarta and Manila. You search in Google for the flight. Next day, or even sometimes within an hour, you'll get a lot of advertisement on your Facebook account about Manila, assuming that you're going to Manila. So they want to go to all the different tourist spots, all the different dining spots, and so on. So that is audience targeting, identifying your current interest and based on that, giving the appropriate advertisement. Advertisement targeting, like if I'm selling a product, I want to target the advertisement to whoever my potential customers are for that product. Now, how do I identify potential customers? Again, based on the data. Now, lastly, once I give the advertisement, how do I measure that is effective? That also requires collecting the data. So say, for example, I give you an advertisement on the Facebook or on the Google or some online store. Then you go to the store and you purchase that item. How do I connect this dot that you have seen the advertisement and then you're purchasing that? That is also based on the data. Lastly, product design and product feedback. Many of the modern-based products are being designed in a crowd way, means that customers are giving continuous feedback to the industry, and industry is developing the product based on the feedbacks. Then the next one is the analytics for the accounting. For detection of the fraud, auditing, tax estimation, regulatory compliance, risk assessment, none of these things are new. Governments, auditing organizations, financial organizations have been doing these things for the last several decades. But what is new is now all these things are being done based on the data. And because of that, it is very difficult for any individual or any corporates to evade a tax or get away by not doing the right thing. It becomes very easy to identify and get punished. Human resource. When the organizations are managing the human resources for a single job, in many of the countries, they get thousands of applications. So how do you identify that? Machine learning, analytics is being applied. If organization has 200,000 employees and probably tens of thousands of projects, how to match that which particular person, which particular resource, human resource will be deployed in which project? Again, based on the skill set, based on the data. Detection of the anti-organization activities. Someone is working in an organization and someone wants to reveal some insight of the organization operation to the competitor that can be identified automatically. So data analytics is there in every aspect of the business. Lastly, some of the examples of the finance. Investment decisions. High frequency trading is being done based on the data. High frequency trading is where it is continuously capturing the data about the environment, about the business environment, about a particular organization, and based on that, it automatically triggers sell or buy to the stock market, and that we call high frequency trading. Hedge fund management, so proprietary complex algorithm for trading that will beat the normal algorithm and can make a better return. Investment risk assessment, and lastly, but not the least, is the cryptocurrency. In last few months, if you're following the Bitcoin price, it has gone up from few thousand, like a 4,000, 5,000 to right now, I think today it was 53,000. So that is completely how we are monitoring that, how we are following that. Again, based on the data and based on the analytics on top of the data. So having talked about some of the applications, let's talk about some of the techniques that are applied to do these things. There are two generalized techniques on this one, two generalized framework, invariant of whatever you talk about, invariant of whatever terminology you come up with. One is machine learning, and there is the statistical approaches. Under the machine learning, there are two types of machine learning, supervised and unsupervised. So this is an example of the machine learning, one of the machine learning algorithm, that is decision tree. So based on the data, you create a decision tree and you follow the decision tree to come up with some decision. So say, for example, you ask whether the color is green. No. Color is red. Yes. Diameter greater than 2 inch. Yes. Then it's an apple. If diameter is not greater than 2 inch, less than 2 inch, is it a stone? No. Then is it a cherry? Probably it's a cherry. So that is the decision making or decision tree approach. Then the classification and clustering. So you have a bunch of data and you try to club them together automatically. So what is the motivation of clubbing them together? Because if you club all the red dots together, then you can find a common characteristics of all these red dots and take that as a representative data. And then you can use that to identify whether another data that is coming up is like a red, blue, or green. You can categorize that. So classification and clustering comes up in that form. Now, what kind of tools you apply for the machine learnings? These are some of the common tools. Weka is a very popular academic tool. It is also used in the industry. Very useful, very popular for small project, academic project. RapidMiner is not free, but they give an academic license. And last two are R and Python, very popular languages for the machine learning purposes. So these are the machine learnings. The next one is the statistical approach. We already talked about the example of the regression analysis, X and Y, and curve fitting. That falls within the statistical approach. So you start with the linear regression, then you go for the multivariate regression, then you go for the nonlinear regression, and you follow the path. So this is, say, for example, also a curve fitting. The previous one, a linear curve fitting, and this one is a nonlinear curve fitting, but again, based on the statistical approaches. The popular statistical tools are R, SAS, and SPSS. Having talked about the overview of some of the analytics techniques, let's talk about some of the infrastructure that is needed to do this analysis. Traditionally, obviously, when you talk about the data, we store the data in the relational databases like MySQL, Oracle. But when the data volume has increased so much, then it becomes very difficult to store and manage this in the traditional relational databases. Why? Because what we call weak clustering technology. The relational database doesn't have a very strong clustering technology. It doesn't scale horizontally. What does it mean that it doesn't scale horizontally? If one Oracle node or MySQL node can support 100 users, then two MySQL or Oracle node doesn't support 200 users. It supports less than 200, like 180. Three nodes or three machines of Oracle will not support 300, probably 220 or maybe less. And 4-node Oracle or MySQL database is very uncommon because it doesn't scale at all. That is one aspect. The other aspect is the strict data format. When you design a relational database, how do you design the relational database? The first step of the relational database design is the ER diagram design. When you design the entity relationship diagram, you have to explicitly specify each and every field, each and every type of the field, the table names, and so on. That means you have to know beforehand that what are the format of the data. But in the newer system, you may not know that what data will come up. You may gather more data in the future and may want to use that. So relational database doesn't give you that kind of flexibility. Strict consistency in the relational database is a problem. So what is the solution? The solution that we follow is that NoSQL database storage. In the NoSQL database storage, we relax the ACID property, means the strict consistency of the database. We say that some inconsistency in the data is tolerable. And with that inconsistency, it is possible to scale the database, scale the storage much better than the relational databases. These databases are distributed across multiple nodes. It is very common to have a NoSQL database cluster, like a MongoDB cluster, Cassandra cluster, and so on, of 1,000 nodes, 2,000 nodes, and so on. Scaling is more important than perfect synchronization. And these databases allows you to store the semi-strict data format, means that you don't need to know the complete format of the data. The format of the data may change as you're developing the applications. We say that in the relational database, we follow what is called ACID property, atomicity, concurrency, isolation, and durability. And in NoSQL database, we follow what is called base, that is basically available, soft state, and eventually consistent. So acid versus base, very similar to chemistry. Now, when you talk about the big data storage, the storage can be in the NoSQL database, in the database format, or the storage can be in the form of file system, like a distributed file system. Examples of the NoSQL database are Cassandra, MongoDB. Examples of the distributed file system is Google file system, Hadoop distributed file system, and so on. Now, in nutshell, so what we learned is that to process such a large amount of data, to take the decisions using the statistical or the machine learning techniques, we need a different class of software systems. And that class of software system is called big data systems. So when you talk about the software system, there is a storage. In the storage, it can be a database. The database, as I said, examples are HBase, Cassandra, MongoDB, Kudo. The data doesn't always need to be stored in the database. It can be stored in the file system. In this case, the file system can be a HDFS, S3, or Google file system. A file system that is distributed across multiple nodes. So the same file system distributed across multiple nodes. You can go to any node and you can get the same view, but when you're storing the file, it's actually distributed in multiple different machines. So in this way, you are not restricted by the storage of a single machine. Your total storage becomes the summative storage of all the machines together. Now, when you store this data in either the NoSQL or in file system, you need to have some query language. Say, for example, in the relational world, we use the query language SQL to query the data. In the big data world, we have query language like Hive and Impala. We have query language like Hive and Impala to query the data in the database and the file system. The next one is the computation. Okay, you have distributed the data, but just the data distribution is not enough. Along with the distribution of the data, you have to distribute the computation also. Because if you store the data in multiple machines, and if you compute in a single machine, then it doesn't scale. So you have to distribute the data. Along with that, you have to distribute the computation also. And distributing the computation, you follow the MapReduce approach, like a Hadoop MapReduce, MongoDB MapReduce, or we also use Spark, like a PySpark on Jupyter, to do the distributed computation. Now, having described the storage, query, and the computation, then the question comes up, okay, what kind of tool I will use for machine learning purposes? The machine learning tools for big data systems are different than the traditional system. Those are PySpark, H2O, and TensorFlow. So what I did today, I described you a brief framework of the data analytics. I gave you some examples of the application of the data analytics for taking decisions in the business organizations. I told you about some of the approaches of the data analytics. Then we talked about some of the infrastructure of the data storage. And then we talked about some of the other different components like the query languages, computational framework on to manage the data, to store the data, manage the data, process the data in such a infrastructure. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present in front of you.
Thank you, Professor Dutta. That was such an amazing material. That was such a detailed material of the database, the data analytics. That was awesome. Thank you, Professor, for the material. So the question will be asked by the end of the event. So if you could be patient for that, that would be awesome. So for thank you, Professor. So for the next event, for the next schedule, we have Mr. Mampuono. Mr. Mampuono,
good morning.
Join us again. Good morning, Mr. Mampuono. Thank you for joining us again today. That you've been very generous to us. As we all know, that Mr. Mampuono is been with us for, I don't know, it's the third event, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's the third time that Mr. Mampuono joined. We've been with us. So right away, Mr. Mampu, the time is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Mbak Nisa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, syahadu la ilaha illallah, syahadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, Allahumma shalli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, amma ba'd. The Honorable Mr. Joseph, as the Rector of the University of STEKOM. So the Honorable Professor Shuhei Kudo, the Honorable Professor Khausik Dutta, the Honorable one of my friend, I forgot the name, but I always remember the Japanese pelanggon from Ikatan Vokasi Indonesia Maju. And as a friend of Mr. Jos, I also say thank you very much for the coming of all speakers today, because your sharing is very fruitful and your sharing is very useful for the development of our people knowledge about how to decide what careers and also how to adapt the new change that every day happens in our life today. And thank you very much for Mbak Nisa, Mbak Zida, also Mas Solikan, and all the participants this morning. Thank you very much for your coming, and I see that the number of the participants is getting higher, decreasing all the time. That today, this time, I can see that all the participants here is 527. This morning, I will share a presentation. So let me share my screen. Okay. Yeah, maybe we have to wait for a moment so that the presentation will be full screen. All right. This is the title of my presentation this morning: the strategies to face the new emerging careers for students in 2021. And here I represent the founder of the Asosiasi Teacherpreneurship Indonesia Cerdas, sebuah gerakan moral yang tujuannya adalah membuat guru Indonesia adalah guru yang cerdas, berbudi, bermartabat. Bermartabat artinya memiliki kepantasan untuk mendapatkan kesejahteraan sebagaimana guru di negara-negara lain. Bukan yang selama ini kita jumpai banyak, ada jutaan guru yang gajinya ternyata masih 200.000 rupiah per bulan. So with the morality movement, we established the Smart Indonesian Teacherpreneurship Association. Hopefully that they can be successful in the classroom and then also successful outside of the classroom as being a teacherpreneur. All right. I want to explain 5 facts of today's careers based on the report of an international institution about career. That is the WEF. Here you can see in our presentation that some jobs will disappear and others will emerge as world. Wait a minute. Faces a dual disruption. As we know that in this recent decades, we've got a new term of revolution, industrial revolution, that is the industrial revolution of 4.0. Maybe we still remember the story that the industrial revolution 1 is the fact. The economy, politics, and also a lot of things about the prosperity of the world. Some maybe who use in now how to adapt the change in Industrial Revolution 1, that is the finding or the inventing of steam engine and everything that is use human power has been changed by machine at the time, and that was the first revolution. In fact, everybody at the time, and also the second revolution, it's about the finding of electrical tools. It's also make a lot of changes because it's revolution. The revolution, industrial revolution 3, it's about the finding of computer and also continued with internet, and it also affects. And the last, that's very fast and sometimes unpredictable, is about the industrial revolution 4.0. I can give an example that Mr. Dutta just now, Professor Dutta just now explained about the very big data of Google, especially Google Assistants. Yeah, 2 days ago, I used Google Assistant because I have a smartphone which has a small button on the left side, and then every time I click, my assistant from Google will offer me serving. Okay, and then 2 days ago, she said, "Oh, would you translate your language into other language? I will be your translator. So please say, please be my translator." And I tried that, and suddenly she said, "Sip" in Indonesian. Saya akan menerjemahkan pembicaraan Anda secara otomatis. I will automatically translate every of your words. To what language? Ke bahasa mana? And I said, bahasa Inggris dong. And then bahasa Korea dong, bahasa Arab dong, something like that. And then this machine, which we know that Google with the team always, developed everything new because it's supported by community all over the world. And the translation is, amazingly make us astonished. What I mean is like this, that we can say everything in our word that may be never found in the book of learning English in our schools. We can find that every day, but that was not in the book. And everything will be translated into the target language very clearly and mostly incorrect, and then all, I mean, incorrect ways. Of course, the prosody itu lagu, cara berbicara, nada, emosi. The prosody of the speech of the speaker of Google Assistant is great. It's like a human being, almost exactly like human being, and I love it very much. And then yesterday, again, the Google Assistant said, "Would you ask me to take your photograph? This is great. So you can take freely from Google a lot of things, and one of that is the Google Translate. I mean, not Google Translate. It's a mix. It's a Google Assistant, and it's helped us very much. If we know that, and we are keeping in touch with it. Okay." Because later I will tell you that I use this kind of features of Google to have a new method of learning English. The next is the effect of pandemic-related disruption placed in the broader context of longer-term technology trends. You know that pandemic, or the spread of COVID-19 has not been stopped, and then there's always new variants of this virus. Of course, we do not want to be also called carelessly act. For instance, we go gathers without obeying the protocol, the health protocol that may be stated by WHO, the World Health Organization. And the safest place is our house. You just stay at home, then we work from home. And you have to go to the office. If you forcefully go to a place that you have to gather, you have to be more careful today. Make sure that you're still alive. This is okay. The joke is like that. We don't know if today we go to the office, then maybe tomorrow we will meet you again or not, or will meet me again or not, something like that. That's just a warning that we have to be careful. And then there are 5 facts of today's careers that I want to tell you here. Number 1 is the workforce is automating faster than expected. Okay. The fact is there are displaced 80 million jobs in the next 5 years. 85 million jobs in the next. Displaced. So you can imagine. Around the world, of course. And then secondly is automation. In tandem with COVID-19 recession, creating double disruption scenario of workers. Number 1, you have to make scenario to face the IR or Industrial Revolution 4.0, and secondly, you have to find the solution to face the COVID-19 recession. In companies, adoption of technology will transform tasks, jobs, and skills by 2025. So you have company, and you cannot have the good adoption of technology. There will be a lot of things, a lot of obstacles that you have to face. So being automatically I call that is auto mindset. That is a very adaptable to the change is very important. So that's it. Okay. Now go to the survey. 43% of business are set to reduce their workforce because of technology integration. Because this is a revolution. There are a lot of great changes happened. 43% is very great number. So we will be lucky if we're not reduced by the country, the company, and then have to stay at home joblessly. 41% plan to expand the use of contractor to task specialized work. 40% of the company plan to expand the use of contractors. If you are working in contract. And at 34% plan to expand their workforce is a result of technology integration. So technology integration is very important. 34% is very big number. 5 years from now 2021 and 2026, this is just a prediction. Employers will divide work between humans and machine roughly equally. You know that machine is thinking like human being. Artificial intelligence, smart tools, smart consoles that is connected with network. It can work remotely. It can also, work straightly. But the fact is that the roles is becoming higher and higher. Okay. So this is an example of ins and out. The demand for some jobs will rise, while others will shrink up for the next 5 years. For instance, number one, data analyst and scientist. Data is a very great demand now because it's the most important aspect of running everything in this era of industrial revolution. So being a data analyst and scientist is a very good position as your job. Because why? Because the demand is increasing. Okay. In being a data entry clerks, maybe some of our students like to go to what's so-called admin. Right now, maybe admin is it's still necessary to use admin to enter the data to some application, for instance, double tick. But this time, this kind of data entry clerk is decreasing the demand of this job or position. AI, machine learning specialist, big data specialist, digital marketing, blah, blah, blah. You can see here, sorry if I say blah, 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 because there are a lot of things here that we can see together that the increasing demand here, because we are talking about IT-based career, this is something new, something that we have to learn more and adopt that. Like what the professor from Japan said, robotic engineers and relationship managers. You know that today the world is fulfilled with artificial intelligence, smart robotic, and it needs engineers that is skillful. This is just data, and because this is taken from all over the world, I think we have to believe this. It will be happen. Sorry. Now go to the robot revolution that create 97 million new jobs. As economy and job markets evolve, new roles will emerge across the K economy and technology field, such as artificial intelligence or AI, and in content creation career, such as social media management and content writing. And right now we are talking about not AI in virtual reality, for instance, because I like to use this kind of things, especially using the tool to enter the world of virtual reality, when we can be immersed there and we can meet a lot of people all over the world, have a discussion, collaboration, and something like that. Of course, besides the artificial intelligence analyst and programmer, there's also how to make the 3D object, how to make a 360-degree view programming, how to make augmented reality, which combine the three-dimensional object with the use of camera, especially in our tablet or in our mobile phone. Then the emerging professions reflect the greater demand for green economy jobs. You know that today there are many plans from many countries, especially developed countries, to build, to establish a new green smart city. So economy, which is green, which is take care of the environment, is badly needed. So if Indonesia, there's also a school which taken the program of I forget the name, but the schools has an additional curriculum, but taking care of the conservation of the atmosphere around the school, planting the trees, garden, and then take care of plants there, take care of animals there. Some of programs done like that in school, and I think it's very good if it continued by how to teach about the green economy to the student, university student maybe. And then also the data and AI economy. You know, there are a lot of things. If you go to your Google Play Store, you can see a lot of things, a lot of applications that is shared freely or premiumly, that we can take the parts of them that use the AI. And of course, the AI of economy, I think, are very useful. And then the new roles in engineering, cloud computing, and product development. This is something that always stick to the changes here. And if we can use that wisely, it can make our prosperity and life better. It's called that we've entering the society 5.0, like that is stated by Japan. And then the up and coming jobs highlight the continuing importance of human interaction in the new economy through roles in the K economy, in marketing, sales, and content production. And it roles that depend on the ability to work with different types of people from different backgrounds. In Indonesia, it's called Kebinekaan Tunggal. If we learn in the university, if you've got the cross-cultural understanding, that's it. One of the subject, if you got English language as your subject. Okay. Now ini pekerjaan-pekerjaan yang bakal digantikan robot dan sebagian gantikan oleh teknologi. Dan
Mr. Mampu.
if we just stay, we don't change, especially our mind. We don't have any good adoption. We are not adaptable to the change. We don't learn more. So we will still be conservative, in time will leave us behind, and word, which is the new one, will take us aside from the new life, which need a lot of things that should be adaptable for changes.
Okay, Mr. Mampu.
Now, this is the example of AI, which can destroy job, but it creates job too.
Mr. Mampu.
Even you can see data detective, and then train your own IT facilitator, ethical sorting over, artificial intelligence, business development manager, master of edge computing, walker talker, blah blah blah. Sorry, because there's a lot of
Mr. Mampuono, sorry.
You can search in Google, of course. You can search from journals. You can read. Now, because the technology has been what's so-called very updated with text to speech and speech to text, even you can read by using your ear. That's it. Okay. So the most sought after skills is, sorry. In 2025, analytical thinking, creativity, and flexibility will be among the most sought after skills. And then the newly emerging this year are skills in self-management, such as active learning, resilience, stress tolerance, and flexibility. Okay, I think I've been warned by the committee, so I will be I'll rather bit faster. 10 most in-demand soft skill you can read together. Number 1 is communication. Number 2, organization, and then teamwork. And then punctual, critical thinking, social skill, creativity, and then personal communication, adaptability, and friendly personality. So be focused on upgrading skills. Of course, time is running, time is flying. Flying is very fast, in changing happens all the time. So if you don't focus on upgrading skills, you'll be left behind. Okay. Remote work is here to stay, like what we've done right now. Okay. I'm in Semarang, maybe Professor Dutta in Florida, and then Professor, I'm sorry, the name, from Japan is still in Japan, and all the participants of this webinar staying all over the world. So everything now have to be done remotely because the dual disruption, that is the technology and also the pandemic. This is the experience, my experience, working from remote area using running drama method in teaching English. How is it? The name of my student here is Praditya Maulana, and then there's also guest from Russia here. We discussed. We use a virtual reality headset. Discuss and present the work. Running drama method. Running here when Why is it not RUNNING? Because this is actually what's it called? It's an abbreviation or acronym. Yeah. Okay. This is the acronym. Running drama. Run pikiran, ning Inggris, pikiran Inggris. Drama, the D is didukung. Rama, R-A in Ra, realitas, Ma, maya. So running drama is pikiran Inggris didukung, realitas maya. And then we can do a lot of things by using the three-dimensional object and three-dimensional view using a virtual reality headset. That is very easy and very cheap that we can use and fruitfully. This is my experience. So how is the student strategy? And you want to be successful, you have to be becoming the true lifelong learners. And of course, literate. Not only for students, for I think everybody here, maybe you have been teachers, you've got your career, but you want to enhance or upgrade your career to be better. You have to be a true lifelong learners. And number two is being good decision maker and choosing future career. Is it suitable or not? Is it suitable with my talents and interests or not? Okay, then go to preparing to face the new era with the skill which are in demand. That's skill, soft skill, and after skill. And then enhancing analytical thinking. If you want to be analytical, have analytical thinking, you have to implement high order thinking skill more intensively from analysis, evaluate, and then create. Creativity is about creating and a lot of things about novelty, new things, something like that. Flexibility, which will be among the most sought after skill. Enhancing the skills in self-management, such as active learning, resilience, and stress tolerance, and flexibility. And how is the teacher strategy? Of course, the same as with the student, still become the true lifelong learners, and then preparing to face the new era with the skills which are in demand, global teacherpreneurship, good models in hard skills and soft skills, and after skill, and developing adaptive solution program, collaborating with companies and industrial fields in strong and eternal marriage. That's it, my presentation. Hopefully, this is something that can be used as one of the ideas of getting in touch with new in the coming careers in 2021. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mampuono. That was amazing. That was perfect. Thank you for joining us. So right now we are going to the next event. It's the Q&A session. We already have some question in here. We already collect some question. And for everyone that want to ask live, you can raise your hand and then we can make you live, turn on your video. But before that, we going to ask, so we have some question here for the first one. It's for Mr. Abur. It's from Enong Holiso. So I want to ask how to increase or build or build our self-confidence to practice English in our daily conversation.
Okay.
So as she is an English teacher. So
is that right, Ray? I should the answer question.
Yes.
Directly, okay. Is he Ibu or Bapak has a question like that?
It's Ibu.
Okay, Ibu. Depend with my side. My background is not English teacher. My background is physics and electronic. So when I took a master's degree in Australia and I got a TOEFL test, I feel stupid, in grammar. I will stupid in grammar, actually. Why my English increased in conversation, like Mr. Mampuono, just talking, 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 speaking with your friend in your school. Don't blame your friend with a wrong or mistake in the speaking, in their speech, like a negative thinking about your friend. For example, if your friend said enough, yeah, in ENOUGH, enough or enough or like that, don't blame it. If you say something negative thing about your friend, so useless, just talking. So in my area, in my education department of West Java Province, branch 12, I have a webinar, sustained webinar every 2 weeks, special for teacher, just speaking, special for student, just speaking, and with many of topic, culinary, tourism, and culture. So I did many times until now. So just keep speaking with your friend, avoid your feel of mistake by yourself. We call campur sari. If you start with your English using Indonesia word, just campur sari, Bu Anissa. Thank you.
Okay, so it's we need to practice more, right?
Yeah, with our friend.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abur. We have another question for Professor Kudo. So it's from Ratnaningrum. The use of robots, of course, to aims to make human tasks easier, but nevertheless, there are definitely some risks, right? So what are those possible risks that can occur of using those robots?
Okay. So you mean the race between human and robots?
Yes.
I think that human being can control the robot. So maybe I think robot does not the robot will not be superior than people. But I think we should aim at collaborating with human and robot. So not racing. So we should explore the collaboration between robot and human. So that's I think it's an important factor for in the future.
Okay, so it's do not let the robot take over us. So it's like we work together with the robot.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was such a clean answer. So we have another question for this one for Professor Khausik, Professor Dutta. It's from Rajasferi. The question: how accurate the quality of information when using big data, and how to identify some fake information that inside the data itself?
Very good question, actually. The quality of the data is always an issue because when you're going for the big data, there are a lot of noise, but the whole approach is statistical. Means statistically, your data should have the more right data than the noise data. And with your approach, you should take away take away the noisy data. And the second aspect in terms of the quality is the missing data. There is a lot of missing data happens. Data become sparse. Data may not be in clean format. And that is why I said that about 70 to 80% of the data analytics job goes into the data cleaning, data preparation, and those part to maintain the quality of the data.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. Okay.
Did you get my question?
Yes,
Answer?
yes, we got it. It's organizing the data, the kind of the, it's not quite easy to organizing the data. If it's big.
It's a separate discipline called data engineering, and that's where the lot of research goes on just on the data quality. There is a ACM journal on data quality itself. So that gives you that how important the data quality is and how complex the process of maintaining the quality of the data is. So you have to give a conscious effort. It's not that you get the data and put into the model. That doesn't work. Once you get the data, you have to look at the data. You have to understand the data. You have to understand the meaning of the data, understanding the context of the domain, and then only it will make sense. And then only you can understand whether the data is quality or not.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. So we have question for Mr. Mampu. It's also from Ratnaningrum. With a change or a shift in job demand due to pandemic or a shift in paradigm, of course, some people will have be eliminated because of everyone has lost their job and be accommodated in new type of job. But how to deal with those situations? The change of the demand.
Yeah. So the question is about how to, I can say how to adapt our loss of job because of the demand that is decreased in our real jobs, like that maybe.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think everything has been written in my presentation. If we have been a lifelong learners, we have what so kind auto mindset. That is a mindset that can be automatically changed based on the changes around us. For instance, this time is a time for Industrial Revolution 4.0. What is the, what are the indicators that we are adaptable to Industrial Revolution 4.0? Try to search that because information is really open 24 hours in hours, 7 hours in 1 week, and 365 days in a year, and it's free. We have unlimited library in text or multimodal text that we can search. Also, we have friends, we have community, we can share information and ask something to discuss. And I think this era is a 4C era for education, that is communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. So by mastering all the 4C, I think you will be safe from the impact of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 that may be threaten your position or career right now. It's like that, Mbak Anissa.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mampuono. So we have an audience who want to ask live. Let me ask her to start the video.
This is from Dr. Elvi.
Yes, let me. Dr. Elvi.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Elvi, you may ask the question. I'm sorry.
Dr. Elvi, hello. I think she did not stand by.
Okay, I think while waiting.
Itu ada pertanyaan di chat juga, teman.
Yes.
Yeah. This is for
okay,
wait,
I think
here is any question for. Yeah.
I think we can, for this, for this question, I think we can ask for everyone, for all the speakers here. So does it really? I think
Okay.
as for in we have from Japan and we have from USA that I think
Okay.
it's amazing to see their view on this. So is it really important to teach the student to make robot or aware of the IT careers by young age? So I think Professor Kudo could answer that question first.
Could you repeat again, please?
Okay, yeah. So as a professor, is it in Japan? Is it important to teach students at young age about the information technology?
Yes, yeah. Japan has many problems. For example, aging society and as a natural disaster. So utilizing information technology is very critical for future Japanese society. So I work for universities. So my role or my university's role is to, educate young generation. They can utilize ICT or robot for next bright future. So yeah, I think education of ICT or other technology is becomes more and more important. I think so. Yeah. Is it okay? I don't know. Yes.
Yes, that's right. What about Mr. Mampu? Maybe you want to say about the vision on that.
Of course. Okay. I just want to ask question, not answering question, to Mr. Shuhei Kudo. I just watch your presentation just now about how the student have a programming for the robot using the EV3. Maybe in Indonesia and Japanese language, EV3 mean Eva 3, Hawa 3, Bujuni Telu, something like that. And EV3 is EV3 programming. I mean, the application of software is something can be accessed by other countries' residents like me in Indonesia. And is it pseudo coding programming so that as long as the student can understand the algorithm, and they can operate the software and finally protect something that can run the robot. Thank you. This is my question to Professor Shuhei Kudo.
Good question.
Yeah, the question is about the EV3, your software, EV3, is it a free software that can be accessed by Indonesian? And number two is it using, does it use the pseudocoding? I mean, just drag and drop. So finally, the product can still be used to run a robot. Thank you.
Yeah, EV3 is free software, but I don't know whether Indonesian people can access EV3 for educational software too. So, but it's free software, and everybody can download and install the EV3 software and their personal computer. Or so they can. But EV3 is very expensive. So, but if you have an EV3 robot. We can everybody can program by using the EV3 software programming tool. So
Okay, it's very interesting, Mr. Susi Kudo. We will have another, maybe in another time, a discussion about robotic, because if talking about what you discussed before, what you're presenting, it's very interesting. Do you available for the next discussion about this?
Yeah, it's available. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we will invite you. We will invite you in the next discussion if you are available.
It's okay. Yeah, it's available.
Because you know, I have moral movement. Yeah, it's about teacherpreneur, and I think in 2030 there will be 4 million teacherpreneurs all over the world. We will work hard for this. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Pak Shuhei Kudo.
Oh, thank you very much.
Gitu Mbak Anis. You're welcome. Matur suwun. Haturu suwung kata. Ya.
Arigato gozaimashita.
Arigato gozaimashita.
Okay, here is I have question for Professor Kudo and also Professor Khausik Dutta. What about the career on there? Maybe what about the career on Japan and also on USA? Because since the COVID, here is always work from home and there is no more job on here. Mr. Professor Kudo, please.
What?
There's more condition about career on Japan.
Career is in Japan. Yes. It's difficult question. What is that?
Okay, so
okay.
I think the point is that since right now the IT okay, let me tell you this. So the other day I saw an ad of Google applications. So most of those job applications are based on IT. So do you think, or in Japan right now, or maybe in USA, those IT career jobs could take over for the future? I think that's the point.
Yes, and I think the influence of so major Google or major ICT company is big, but it's difficult to answer, but maybe. Sorry, it's a very difficult question, so I cannot answer.
Okay, maybe Professor Dutta, can you hear me? I think Professor Dutta has a little bit trouble.
Yang bertanya lagi tuh Mbak Anissa.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Professor, so I'm sorry. So we, as for the earlier question, before we go to Mr. Asep, just want to ask you: do you think that the IT careers in US like the next will be different for sure? Maybe you can give a quick answer.
Yeah, sorry.
Can you hear that? Okay, Hasmin. I'm sorry, Harmin is. What about IT career in your country since the COVID-19?
Okay, so I think in the US perspective, the IT career has not been impacted that much because of the COVID-19, because many of the jobs are actually remotely done. Even before COVID-19, people have been working from home, or people from one of the city is working in company in another city. That was going on for quite a long. So the COVID-19 has only accelerated the working from home culture, and many of the technology jobs are not going back to office anymore. Many of the organizations actually felt that if they gave up their physical office, they can reduce the cost by decreasing the by eliminating the rent, eliminating the air condition cost, eliminating the phone cost, the facility cost, all the things. So it is not impacted at all. It is mostly working very positively on the IT career.
Okay, thank you. What about Mr. Mampuono and Mr. Abur? What do you think about that, the IT in Indonesia, maybe?
Yeah, of course, every teacher should have ability in computer. Nowadays, because of pandemic era, the whole teacher, especially vocational teacher, yeah, can do anything with learning and study by the media using gadget like this. So that's my advice. Yeah, only that. Ibu Asira.
Ya, oke,
Okay, thank you.
Pak Abur sudah. Thank you Pak Abur ya. Saya kirim itu chat ke Pak Abur nih,
Sudah saya
nomor
rekam.
HP saya. Kita kontak-kontak ke Pak Abur ya.
I
Oke,
already call you.
Mbak Nisa, about your question. Okay, as you know that this pandemic era is okay, if we think in another side, or maybe in the opposite side of the common thinking of our people, that actually there is blessing in disguise, that we have to be thankful, thank God that there is a pandemic like this, that Indonesian teachers especially, who maybe very long time staying in a comfortable place, that just doing business as usual, coming to school, teach, and back to home, take some rest, and the next day do the same thing all the years. Because of the pandemic, we are forced to think creatively and think critically how to solve the problem if we are of course have the good responsibility of the student futures, of course. We think about how to solve the problem of remote teaching, how to make the students still happy, how to make the students still understand clearly, even read the achievement better by teaching from distance. And one of the key, this is a little promotion, I have also called like Pak Just too, Persona Edu A class. This is LCMS, Learning Content Management System. Every book in the fourth and the next fifth generation, the digital book of 4G, the fourth generation, developed. Every book like Bumi Aksara's publishing book, and then Erlangga published book, or maybe Gramedia published book, something like that, has been embedded with animation, also simulation with very complex algorithm that make the learning still clear and even very interesting in the learner, or happy in get more skillful in higher competencies in the subject that they are learning from distance. That's it. That's one Persona Edu A class is, and BDI, Buku Digital Interaktif 4G generasi keempat, is one of the tool to access the learning from distance, and teacher who use that still also have got extra income for a better teacherpreneurship. That's it. Anybody who are interested in it can connect Mr. Jos or me. I will write down my number in the chatting. But this is kind of how to solve the problem of pandemic situation in distant learning. That's it. Thank you.
Pertanyaan dari Pak Asep tuh Bu Anissa.
I can understand the question.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. We have a live question.
No. I think area in Japan because becomes very important because the ICT human resources is very shortage in Japan. Before pandemic of COVID-19, Japanese companies or Japanese doesn't use small and medium-sized companies. Every people use Zoom as ICT or so. The ICT career in Japan is will become more and more important.
Thank you, Professor.
Pertanyaan Pak Asep tuh Bu Anissa.
Ya, Pak Asep. Sudah Pak Asep nih.
Pak Asep, silakan jika ingin bertanya, Pak. For Pak Asep, if you want live to ask.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. Oh, so we actually have a live. Okay, we have someone raising hand. Okay. Okay, you can silakan diaktifkan yang sudah. Iya.
Alkindi Iki Singkawang.
Alkindi. So we have.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks so much for everybody. It's my name. Yes, I want to introduce myself. Okay, myself to you about my name is Alkindi. I'm the teacher for elementary school, the Singkawang from the Singkawang city. Okay, I have the question about the teaching learning process in the Indonesia for the focus from the Singkawang city. Okay, how to make the flow of the teacher in the pedestrian along and far from the city, but place and far the city. All the teacher is nothing a media about the electronic, electronic, not the signal and the lyric, okay. But how the step for the make the increasing the teacher in order to make the increasing the career in the teaching learning process? Maybe you can explain for me in the Singkawang city in order to if my the teacher and all my friends who can make the flow in order to the quality in the education from the Singkawang city is the best from the number one in the Kalbar. Thanks so much.
So, Mr. Alkindi, who is the question for?
Yes.
Who is the question for?
It's the question how to make the flow of the pedestrian, the teacher in the along from the central city.
Menjawab pertanyaannya.
Untuk siapa ya?
I think that is for Mr. Abur or Mr. Mampuono. Because that is about condition in Indonesia.
Yeah, the condition from Indonesia.
Yeah, Mr. Alkindi, may I answer the question? Yeah. depend with my side. Many of students stay in remote area.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes
Okay.
I use memory of flash disk. They just put in, record, and then play with the teacher by the personal computer there. Sometimes they have a signal with the internet laptop. If you want to go there and record the whole material in flash disk, and you can teach the student there. That's what I have done in Tasikmalaya. Some teacher using their activities like that. Sorry, arigato. Ya, mudah-mudahan berkenan.
Yes. Okay, thanks so much. Okay. Maybe do you have the step of the technique for the teacher for developing the career?
From my side, Pak Alkindi.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For personal way, you should learn optimize by this gadget. For example, like me, I can do because I can do many things about weight application, KineMaster application, video insert application, and then also crop and trimming application. You're using that core of application, we can make media for teaching and learning. So that's, we push for every teacher in remote area. Only that Pak Alkindi. Hijau desk. Ya, mudah-mudahan berkenan. Mikrofonnya belum dibuka.
Yeah, terima kasih.
I'm sorry. And thanks so much for everybody. Yes, maybe I want to doing is my decide the technique from the Singkawang city, and I will sharing from my teacher and my all the friends in Singkawang. Okay, thanks so much everybody. Mas Mampu, it's very good. Okay, Chef, thanks so much.
Okay, I think this is enough, yeah. Okay, for Mr. Shuhei Kudo, thank you very much. For Professor Khausik Dutta, thank you very much. And also Mr. Abur and Mr. Mampuono, thank you very much. And also thank you for everyone who attend and stay tuned in here in international webinar until the end. And then sorry if there are any errors, and see you on the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, Professor.
Good evening, Professor.
Professor Kudo.
Shuhei Kudo-san.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Shuhei Kudo-san.
Thank you. See you
Then what?
again.
Ketai dua bango, oshete kudasai.
Arigato.
In chat. Shuhei Kudo-san.
Thank you. Terima kasih, Mr. Mampuono. Arigato.
Arigato.
Terima kasih. Thank you.
Kudo-san.
Terima kasih Pak Abur.
Iya Bu Marian.
Terima kasih semuanya. Makasih ya.
Halo, makasih ya.
Terima kasih.
Baca materinya.
Sensei Kudo-san.
Terima kasih Mbak Anissa.
Iya, terima kasih. Thank you.
Bu Azeda, terima kasih.
Yeah, thank you.
Terima kasih para moderatornya.
See you in the next webinar. Terima kasih.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
See you in the next webinar.